Welcome to this month's episode of Planter's Punch. Today, the topic at hand is perennial grains, their movement into mainstream consumption, and what is happening with perennial research within CEPLAS, the Cluster of Excellence on Plant Sciences. My name is Ilyse Putz, and I am a second-year doctoral researcher at the Institute of Plant Genetics on the Heinrich Heine University in Düsseldorf. My focus is on perennial research, but I will touch more on that later. So, let's dive into the first topic. What is perennial? Now, if you're like my community at home, this might be the first question you are asking yourself. The easiest way to explain this is by referencing to something you already may have in mind. Grain crops like wheat, barley, corn, and many more are what is called annual. This means seeds are sown at the beginning of the crop season, plants grow, produce new seed, and are harvested. During harvest, plants are removed and the soil is worked up for the next season, when this complete cycle repeats. Contrary to this is perennial. The seeds are sown, plants grow, produce new seed, which is then harvested. However, the plants regrow for many harvests, producing new seed for each harvest. In short, annual refers to 1 year life, perennial multiple year life. And the advantage? Well, reduced inputs like seed and field maintenance, and reduced environmental costs like soil compaction and erosion. So now, if the main grain crops are annual, how can we have perennial grains? The simple answer, research and breeding. There are two main poster children of perennial grain research: Kernza, a perennial wheat alternative, and the perennial rice variety, which sports the catchy name of PR23. PR23 has been making headlines the last months, as a study had recently been published in the journal Nature Sustainability. In reports of an experiment that took place over 5 years from 2016 to 2021. At 3 locations in China, they planted PR23 and a local annual rice variety to compare the yields between the two. Rice can be harvested twice a year, meaning the annual varieties must be planted twice a year. For PR23, it was planted just once in 2016 for the entire 5-year-long experiment. They found that PR23 for 4 years, or 8 growth seasons, had competitive yield to the annual local varieties. There is an increased need to apply herbicide to PR23 fields. The researchers needed 1 to 2 more applications per season. But not only weeds can be a concern, also pests and diseases. PR23 is predominantly grown in China, but if you want to catch a glimpse of work towards a perennial future, there's a spot in North Rhine-Westphalia. In Düsseldorf, in the botanical garden of the university, you can find Kernza. During the winter, it will be in a dormant state, but during the summer, it doesn't sleep. So don't miss out. Our advertisement today highlights how the second poster child of perennial grains, Kernza, has entered mainstream consumption. Brought to you by Patagonia Provisions Dogfish Head Craft Brewery, the first Kernza-based brew tackles climate crisis by producing a pills that directly supports perennial agriculture, expanding its reach through Patagonia Provisions' partnership with Dogfish Head means being able to draw down carbon by drinking up. Go out and grab a Kernza pills to take part in the perennial grain revolution. If a perennial wheat alternative is used to make a beer, what's the possibility of a perennial barley variety? My research focuses on this concept. I do not work with cultivated barley directly, but instead use wild relative species to investigate my question. What genetic structures control perennial versus annual growth? To answer this, I take the pollen from a perennial plant and use it to pollinate an annual plant. The outcome is an offspring which is genetically made up of 50% annual and 50% perennial. This offspring is then called a hybrid. I use this hybrid and study the appearance of the overall plant and the interaction of the parents on the genetic level. This hopefully provides some insight into what the key to the annual perennial lock is. For now, the Odyssey continues another day.